Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your host and your friend, Rashid. I'm also your brother. I'd like to thank you all for joining me on the most powerful platform for truth, bar none, on God's green earth. This is your platform for education, elevation, and edification. This is the Red Pill Diaries. Thank you all for joining me. Now, we're going to get to the news in just a second. I want to thank people who sent me they sent me some emails telling me about check out this person's channel, check out this person's channel, because they've come up with the same scenarios now that you've come up with. So I've checked it. I'm going to say this. I'm going to mention the channel's names. All right, that was given to me. Hold on one second. Something is going on here. Man, why don't they stop this foolishness? Hold on, everybody. All right. So hold on one second. I'm trying to get this together. Uh-oh. Are we still here? Are we still here? Hold on. Man, YouTube, you suck, bro. I'm telling you this. Anyway, so I got a couple of emails earlier, and they said, check out, what is it? Matter of fact, I'll pull it up right here. Check out Dialogue Works. And Dialogue Works was interviewing a few people, and some of the people came up with the same scenarios, the same thoughts, and the same I would say mantras or themes that I came up with. And then they said, check out one of the hosts of the Duran, Alexander McCurris. They said he has the same. He's came up with the same scenario that you came up with, and on two occasions of his daily video. And I was like, what? So when I read it further, they were talking about how what went down looked exactly eerily similar to the Ukrainian situation, right? And there was a couple of other things. So I will say this to you: do I think that they're taken from me? No. Listen, it is possible that people have the same thoughts, sometimes, and I just think, because I actually think both of them do great work. Okay. And I do believe that when you have a wealth of information, to me, it came to me quicker, because my mind is always why isn't anyone saying this? Why is this taboo to touch? Why, if this makes so much sense, this is left outside of normal discussions. So maybe they came to those conclusions also independently without watching me. That is a possibility. So I won't say that they necessarily watch, but if they did, I would welcome that also. Because it's not about who gets the credit; it's about truth. But shout out, Kalito is in the building. Let me go to the chat for a second. Yeah, it's Rashid, and yeah, it's Kalito. Shout out to my guy Michael in the building. Shout out to William Gilchrist in the building. Rashid and all, yeah. Shout out to Perseverance Chameleon. Hooray! I got the notification this time. Have you guys been watching the numbers jump up and down on the channel multiple times today? Man, it's crazy, right? So let's go into this. We're looking at Iran starting to respond. Oh, and by the way, smash the like button. And we'll try not to be on long. It's just, I told everybody that a lot of this stuff was going to happen. And it is happening the exact way that I said it. Do I have a crystal ball? No, but common sense, when used on a frequent basis, gives you a leg up on mostly everybody, because mostly everybody forget about common sense today. So let me go to something real quick. Remember when I was telling you that Trump was involved? Remember when, and people were the same pundits now that are saying that Trump knew, that Trump was involved in it, that Trump helped plan and coordinate this stuff. Where were they when I was telling you that the so-called peace president has his hands deep into this? And as a matter of fact, let me go to something real quick. I'm going to show you something. This is an excerpt. I hope they'll allow me to play it. This is an excerpt. I'm going to add it to the screen. This is an excerpt of of Brian Berletic and myself talking about the situation. And what's ironic is that a lot of people now, let me see if I can refresh it a little bit. A lot of people now are saying that what Trump did, as a matter of fact, what did Scott Ritter say? Hold on one second. I'm going to give you the very words of Scott Ritter, okay? And it's amazing that everybody now is coming to this conclusion about what's going on. And I'm not saying Scott stole this from his Scott. No, Scott is a very good analyst. I'm just saying on Sputnik News today, Scott came out about 11 hours ago. I saw it when it came out. He came out with an article on Sputnik News, and the title of the article is Scott Ritter, U.S. lulled Iran to sleep using nuclear talks deception, allowing Israel to strike. Now, I haven't read the article, so what we'll do, we'll read a little bit of it, and then we'll come back and we'll play a clip, and we'll go with the name of this video that I titled just a little while ago. And we'll see if Rashid was ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff, okay? Because what we're trying to do is not vindicate Rashid. What we're trying to do is lay down the bricks to the road so that we can keep walking in safety, so that we'll know what to look for and what to discard, okay? So in this article by Scott Ritter, he says, Israel has carried out an unprecedented attack on Iran, targeting its nuclear program, scientists, and senior military leaders. Sputnik asked veteran ex-Marine intelligence officer Scott Ritter what just happened and what comes next. The months of Iran-U.S. nuclear talks essentially gave Israel the opportunity for maximum surprise to achieve maximum damage, with the strikes effectively amounting to a joint U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran. Did I tell you that what happened was beyond the scope of Israel's capabilities? Hold on one second, everybody. Give me 1 second. My computer, once again, my computer is dead. My son must have used it and did not charge it. Hold on 1 second. Let me play a clip real quick, and I'll come back. I gotta just do something until I can plug this in. Hold on 1 second, everybody.
And sir, you mentioned that there is this growing alignment of China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, various authoritarian countries that all seek the same thing, which is to undermine U.S. influence and stability in the world. But are you of the mind or the school of thought that believes that because China has the most capacity to do the most harm, that we should focus on the Asia geographic region to the exclusion of the Middle East and Europe?
We can't afford to. I mean, we can't. We don't have the resources to be engaged all around the world, and nor should we be. But China and Russia in particular are working together to try to present to us a false choice. Do we engage in the Asia region or the Middle East or in Europe? Because there's confrontation all around. And all of those countries are working together and flaunting it. They're trying to test our resolve because they know the only thing standing between their tyrannical overrun of the entire globe is the might of the U.S.
Okay, everybody, we're back. I got it on the plugged in now. So check this out. He says, and I told you guys that this was the U.S. and Israel because Israel does not have those capabilities to do what was done. And I kept telling you guys, I said, isn't it ironic that what took place is eerily similar to what took place with Russia as Russia was negotiating what happened? Boom. We had the bridges and the railways attacked, and then the strategic bombers attacked. What happened? The same thing as the negotiations was ongoing, right? And the U.S. was we're negotiating and blah blah blah, and every couple of days they changed their mind on if it was good or if it was bad, or if they were making progress or if they were stalling. And all of a sudden, Trump started ordering all non-essential personnel out. I kept telling you, I said, isn't it eerily similar to that? Well, I guess a lot of people are starting to see that now, right? But let's go further. This was very closely coordinated in order to give Israel the opportunity for maximum surprise to achieve maximum damage. Didn't I tell you also? And now that was one of the comments that one of the people who sent me the email saying that check out Alexander McCurry's because he came to some of the same conclusions that I came to, but he came to them today, and I came to him, before that. And in there, I told you, I said, and isn't this eerily similar to the United States negotiating with Hezbollah? And what do? They decapitated, try to go for a decapitation strike of Hezbollah. They overthrew the Syrian government, and they then tried to decapitate the leadership of what? Hamas. All of this stuff, the empire has no new tricks in its bag. They continue to do the same. The problem is the people who are entertaining the empire's calls for negotiations. That is what really blows my mind. Russia and Iran and everybody else are actually entertaining these calls for negotiations. It just is stunning. You know, with all of the think tanks that these nations have and all of these learned people and all of these politicians, they continue to fall victim to imperial hubris and deception. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm trying to get it what George Bush said. I can't say it the way he said it. It was so funny. But anyway, let's go here. It says, this was very, very closely coordinated in order to give Israel the maximum. They not have sent resources. Yes, they have. See, this is a cop-out here, too. While America may not have sent resources or assets to participate in this attack was closely coordinated with the United States, done with the knowledge of the United States, done with the support of the United States. Stop right there. They pre-position all of the stuff. Why do you think? Go do the research. In the last few months, the United States continued to deliver armaments and weapons to Israel, even sending them more F-35s, right? But this was not just a U.S. This is where a lot gets lost on. This is not just a U.S.-Israeli strike. People are not, they don't understand that the U.K. had involvement in this. When this took place, the U.K. scrambled fighter jets over Cyprus to go and aid Israeli warplanes. So now you got the UK involved, Germany, France, and others. What do you think Israel get the huge fleet of planes to do this? They didn't bring them all. That would have been pretty much their entire fleet. Man, listen to me. These people will put over anything on you. So he says this, by any definition of the word, was a joint U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran. No, it was much more than that. As I told you yesterday, this was a U.S.-Israeli UK NATO attack on Iran. The same way that the U.S., the Israelis, the UK, and NATO are trying to subjugate Russia through Ukraine. This is much more than one or two nations, because everybody involved in this have interest in this being successful and interest in this taking place. Have you noticed that this happened and nobody spoke about this? The markets were falling. Did you know that people were racing out of the U.S. debt the last couple of days? Huh? Nobody speaks about that. Isn't it eerily similar to what happened to 9/11 when the markets were tanking and all of a sudden this catastrophe took place and nobody talked about the gold that went missing under the towers? Nobody talked about how the markets were so bad. People were grieving and talking about the actual situation that took place. The empire and its minions are desperate. This is what you have to get ingrained into your brain. Desperate people in desperate times take desperate measures to try to bring about a desired result, regardless of the consequences and the costs. It was just last year people were, as a matter of fact, I remember Professor Saeed Mohammed Morandi, right? I remember him saying, and maybe it was on Dialogue Works. This was a few weeks ago at the most. And they asked him, do they believe that the United States would be so foolish as to help and attack Iran? And he says, he pointed out all of the same reasons why this would not be sound judgment. So he did not believe America would do that. And I kept telling everybody, you don't understand this beast here. You do not understand the depths of wickedness of this beast here. America is in a precarious situation. She's falling, she's collapsing. She's under the gun. When people become desperate, anything that they can think of makes sense. Let me give you an example, okay? Hold on, you have to get through here. 1 second. They're walking through my office. 1 second. You need to hurry up and go this way because I'm hearing an echo in my ear. They're trying to get the lighting right for me. I'm sorry, everybody. See, this thing is shaking and the lighting is falling and stuff like this. Thank you. Anyway, one thing about the empire, let's get to this, is that, and let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Many of us, we have people in our families who may be addicted to alcohol, who may be addicted to drugs. And in their mind, when they're hustling for some money to get the next hit, to get the next swallow or drink, what's in their mind that's rational, you and the people that are talking or engaged in a conversation with that person, you're looking at each other like, I know this person doesn't believe that we believe what they're saying. But in their mind, in the mind of people who are detached from sobriety or detached from reality, it makes perfect sense to them because they're desperate to get the next high. But for the person that is sane, rational, and on a even keel and a sound foundation, what they're saying is a hustle. The same thing is with America in the West. They are struggling for the next high to keep the empire going. That's what's going on. And they're willing to throw any and everything against the wall to see if it sticks. Now, I want to play something for you. I have it in the screen. I hope that it works. If you can't hear it when the video plays, please tell me in the comment section, okay? And we'll go to something else. Because I hate the dead time that happens. I always have to deal with the buffering from StreamYard and from YouTube. So if it happens here, please allow me a chance to correct that wrong, okay, everybody? So I'm about to play this video. And the name of the video, now remember what Scott Ritter said, the name of his article. U.S. lulled Iran to sleep using nuclear talks deception, allowing Israel to strike. Now, I came up with this headline for this clip from an interview with me that Brian and I did. And I said, Brian Beletic, Trump's Iran nuclear talks is a head fake before war. That's what I said. The video came out 8 or 9 days ago. The talks between Brian and I came out 3.5 weeks ago. So I want you to listen to this. Okay. They said no audio. Okay. No audio. I hear you. Okay. I guess they're bothering that. We'll go to something else. Hold on 1 second. Let me pause it. Okay, they're blocking that. That's cool. Let me stop. Let me remove this from the screen. It's cool. Stop the screen. I got something they won't block though. All right, hold on 1 second. I got something that they will not be blocking. Let me go here. So I'm glad everybody was able to say that they didn't hear, and I immediately saw that. So thank you. So listen, but the title of the video, please do me a favor. After the show, please go listen to that video. It's on my channel, and what is it called? Brian Beletic. It says Trump's Iran nuke talks is a head fake before war. So I was actually telling you guys the stuff long before people were saying it. See, some people, it has to hit them. Some people, it has to dawn on them through seeing the stuff actually take place. But I'm almost like a forensic tracker. I'm watching the footsteps and I'm telling you what wild game is and where they're headed and what they're trying to get as their prey. That's what I'm trying to say. So when it happens, it doesn't surprise me that much. Okay. So we're gonna play a clip for you all. This they're not gonna interfere with this one. All right, because this one's in my dashboard. This is not on YouTube. So this comes about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. This clip was put on this channel. It's from an interview that I gave with Larry Johnson. I did with Larry Johnson about a month ago. Okay, and the name of the video is Larry Johnson. As a matter of fact, let me do this.
Ada begitu banyak hal yang terjadi dan begitu sedikit waktu untuk membicarakannya, Larry. Sepertinya kita akhirnya menuju perang.
You kidding me? Check this out. They changed my video. They changed my video's audio. You've got to be kidding me. You guys saw that? I know you guys. This is audio from my channel. They changed it. Let's try this again. Let's see if they're going to do that again. Hold on 1 second.
Ada begitu banyak hal yang terjadi dan begitu sedikit waktu untuk membicarakannya, Larry. Sepertinya kita akhirnya menuju.
My video to Spanish. I believe that's Spanish. I didn't do it. So I guess they can do it. But the name of the video is we, the U.S., are going to war with Iran. Well, in that, I asked Larry. This was like a month ago, a month ago. And Larry answered me because I said, listen, with all of the stuff being said, let me close this real quick. With all of the stuff going on, do you see war in the next few weeks? He said, yes, the next few months. Boom. Here we are. Here we are. Because we laid out why there would be a war. And now everybody's surprised that the U.S. and Israel are attacking. But we're going to go further, okay? Let's go to something in RT. I saw something from Trump. Where is it at? Earlier. Hold on, everybody. Let me go to RT. Matter of fact, hold on 1 second, everybody. Not just RT. Let me see if there's any breaking news at this moment, real quick. All right, let's go. Because I want to keep you guys up to date while I'm talking to you also. All right. Okay, here we are. And what's crazy about this is, did you guys see what was said by Israel? Man, I'm telling you, bizarro world. Iran launches an attack, a counterattack, because this is in no way an attack. If I slap you and you hit me back, you did not attack me. You counterattacked. You responded to my aggressiveness, right? The headline is this. This is crazy. After you assassinated, committed acts of war, violated the Geneva Conventions, committed war crimes, crimes against humanity, right? And violated all international norms and international law. And Iran responds. This comes from RT. This is the Israeli defense minister. Iran has crossed red lines. The missile attack launched by Tehran in response to the Israeli air raids has targeted civilian population centers. Now, listen to me good. You just attacked civilian population centers, buildings, apartment buildings where people were sleep at. And then Iran responds because now you're hiding weapons in apartment buildings, and this crosses the line. Bizarro world, well, up is down and down is up. This is what I continue to tell you. These people are Orwellian to the core, and they're going to spin everything as if it was a spinning top to make you believe their narrative. It goes further and says Tehran's response to the Israeli raid. See, at least they are admitting that Iran is responding. It is not the initiator, it is the responder, right? Tehran's response to the Israeli air raids on the Islamic Republic has crossed red lines. Now, what's crazy about that? Remember what I told you that they used to teach in school? Make sure you look at the first paragraph or the first 3 paragraphs to deconstruct the entirety of the article. Okay? The first paragraph, Tehran's response to the Israeli air raids on the Islamic Republic has crossed red lines. The Jewish state's defense minister, Israel Katz, has stated, vowing, I think they were supposed to put 2 in there, vowing to make Iran pay a very high price for its actions. Now, let's just look at that first paragraph. Tehran's response. Listen to this right here. The word response, according to the dictionary, is a noun. It is a verbal or written answer. It means an answer, a reply, an acknowledgement, a rejoinder, a retort, or a return. So how can you get mad at me if I return what you gave to me? And how could this cross lines when you handed it to me at first? So shouldn't it be the initiator that crossed all red lines to give that to me? And if we're using common sense, right? It says Tehran's response. That means reply. That means the answer. That means a return or a retort of what was given to Tehran, they gave it back. How can giving back something cross the lines when you gave it to me first? Shouldn't that have crossed all the lines? Huh? And then it goes on and says, Iran launched a massive missile barrage late on Friday in response to a series of Israeli airstrikes targeting military and nuclear sites inside the Islamic Republic the same day. So targeting nuclear sites, which is an international crime, right? That didn't cross any red lines. Violating the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Iran, that didn't cross any red lines. Bombing the capital of Iran, that didn't cross any red lines. Assassinating the top general, which is equivalent to the defense. They killed the defense minister. The regular armed forces general, the IRGC general, the Quds Force general, and 2 nuclear scientists. Those acts of aggression and war did not cross any red lines, right? But Iran's response did make that make sense. But let me tell you something. As I told you yesterday, the empire will not stop. As I continue to tell you, the empire will not stop. You have to understand that they're fighting for the survival of not just the Republic of America. They're fighting for the survival of the rules-based international order, which means that if they can submit that, then they can stay the hegemonic power in perpetuity. And if that is the case, then Britain benefits, then the EU benefits, and their currency benefits. This is why all of them are involved. I've told you that before. This is why they're aiding and refueling. They're aiding with their planes. They're aiding with intelligence, right? Real-time intelligence. They're aiding with political cover, with the spin. Or did you hear what was coming out of the capitals of Europe? Israel has the right to defend herself. She started the fight. She's now getting a bloody nose, but Iran is the aggressor. Bizarre world, right? So let us go a little further on this, okay? Iran launched a massive missile barrage late on Friday in response to a series of Israeli airstrikes targeting military and nuclear sites inside the Islamic Republic earlier the same day. The nation's military launched hundreds of projectiles at Israel in multiple waves, according to the Iranian media. Now, here we are. Let's get something clear. As I told you before, this is the reason why I can't do politics, because it's a lot of sissified stuff, a lot of punk stuff. What Iran should have done is immediately announced that they have pulled out of all nuclear talks and agreements, period. Because what was happening, they're trying to cower Iran. They're trying to force Iran to capitulate the same way that they tried to force a nuclear-armed, nuclear-powerful Russia to capitulate. They don't want negotiations. They want capitulations. Because if Trump really wanted, as I told you long before I told you in his first term, if he wanted negotiations, why would he have pulled out of the JCPOA instead of modifying it? Trying to modify it. No, he rendered the entire agreement useless. Even after the United States put tremendous pressure on its European allies, China, Russia, and even Iran to come to the table and sign the agreement. And after Iran was found compliant to the agreement, it was Trump who took the U.S. out of the JCPOA, which was a precursor to what you see happening right now. This is from your peace president who won't start any wars. This man is in the same league, as I've told you, as Obama. He's in the same league as George Bush. He's in the same league as Joe Biden. He's beholden to interests and powers behind him. Man, you guys, you better wake up to this. I'm telling you. I don't have my air conditioner on in this office today. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm going to turn it on shortly, but it's hot up in here. I got the fans blowing. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. For those of you who have been deceived, I notice a lot of people are saying that Trump lied. Trump had this policy to deceive. These were the same people who were telling me that I was out of pocket, that Trump really wanted peace and he really wanted to bring empire down and be a sovereigntist and a nationalist. No, he is a tool of empire. Regardless to what you want to believe, look at the evidence. Look at the evidence. Okay? Let me go to the chat real quick before we go to some more of the article. Let's see. William Grillcrest, the savior syndrome of Golden Dome. You better believe it. Red Panda Pie is in the building. Shout out to Red Panda Pie. Vera is in the building. Shout out to Vera. Brooke Chin is in the building. Shout out to Brooke. Let's see. Restless Native is in the building. Restless Native. Shout out to Restless. Ping One is in the building. My guy Pedro from across the pond is in the building. Shout out to you guys. Arlene Chambers is in the building. Thank you for joining me, Arlene. My guy Salman Zafar is in the building. Salute. He says, can you estimate how long till the corrupt empire collapses? Listen, people say that I'm gonna give you what everybody else says, and then I'm gonna give you what I have a strong belief on. All right, and then I'm gonna give you an example to go with what I believe. Okay, people say, well, America can get out of this, and she can become a power among powers, and she's just gonna have to come to the acknowledgement that there are more poles of power alongside herself. And I digress from that. I don't. That is not a position that I hold, because if any other nation was in the same political, social, economic, and military position that America's in, they would say that America will soon default on its debt. And with a default on the debt means a death of the dollar supremacy, which means then the empire can no longer print debt infinitum to fund these wars and these color revolutions, which means that they would have to do a real appraisal and bring those troops home, right? Which means a collapse of American empire. Now, let me tell you why I believe that the American empire will not survive another 3 years, right? Not another 3. All right. First of all, she refuses to do justice. What is needed for peace and what is needed for revival in America, what is needed for a I would say a resurrection of scientific minds and education is justice. She refuses to give that to any and everybody. And without that key point, she cannot be redeemed. If somebody killed your brother and they never showed contrition and they never showed empathy, but they say, I'm sorry, would you believe them? If they come to you and say, I'm sorry, but he had it coming to him. And then you see him down the street breaking into somebody else's house with a gun to try, would you believe that person was truly moved and was trying to make amends to the death that they caused you? We're looking at America doing that. All right. And why do I believe that she's going to collapse in the next 3 years? No longer than 3 years. You know, let's look at sports for a minute, okay? Let me give you an example. If you watch boxing and you see the flashiness of it and you see the guys sticking and moving, parrying and everything like that, parrying. And then they get into an exchange. And the champion, who's been champion for 10 years and has defended their belt for 8 or 9 years nonstop, right? And you see him get in the exchange and he get rocked. You'll see him smile a little bit, right? He becomes flashy. Then you'll see him trying to engage a little bit. And when he gets hit again and he understands that it ain't sweet up in there, he steps back a minute to gauge it and to get his faculties back. But the young and upcoming fighter is not allowing him to get his faculties back. So every time he gets hit, he's smiling. That's because he's rocked. That's because he's trying to put on a calm facial feature for you to say, okay, I'm not hurting him. But in reality, he's buckling under the pressure and under the onslaught of the punches. Right? This is what we see America doing. She's talking about 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, and 20 years from now, the debt burden continues to grow. She's talking about what she's going to do in 2035. The debt burden continues to grow. She's talking about her military power and reconstituting it by 2038. The shipyards are in disarray. Society is fomenting unrest everywhere. The government has fear of the people. The people no longer trust the government. She owes debt to the people and she owes debt to the world. Her scientific ingenuity has stopped. That's why she cannot make a workable hypersonic missile, while China, North Korea, Iran, Russia all have hypersonic missiles. Because of the educational system is in utter decline. How can a society that is totally divided, that is losing empathy, ethics, and morality, an educational system that has not become a propeller of future progress, but has become a burden to the people who are in the system, help fuel America's recovery, especially on the back of unbridled debt? America had to go to the Fed just recently to purchase debt that nations would not purchase. Oops, you didn't hear that here, did you? Go do your research and see. How long do you think that street is that you keep kicking the can down? It's not an infinite street. How long do you think people are going to continue with the antagonistic, arrogant ways of American empire before they say, you know what, the hell with this, enough is enough. I'm calling in my debt. I'm out of this. I'm out. We see it right now. There's now, and what she's just allowed and what took part of, it is only cementing people's thought of her arrogance and her fall. The smart thing would have been to try to make amends to all of the people that you've done wrong. So you know you're falling. Maybe they'll take pity on you and make a cushion for your fall. But no, you continue to go into hyperdrive, antagonizing everybody else. It's never your fault. You're always in the right. Everybody else are religious zealots. Yet the reason you say you uphold Israel is because of religious zealotness on your part. Because you say we've got to uphold them because the coming of Jesus and all of that stuff like that. And I ask you, who believe that? Would Jesus slaughter those people like that? Would Jesus plan those wars of aggression like that? Would Jesus rob people of their resources and foment unrest, color revolution, assassinations, drone strikes, and occupy territory? Would Jesus do that? If he wouldn't do that, then you're not following it. You're following materialism, arrogance, and a thirst, an unquenchable thirst for power and domination. That's what you're following. So I hope, Zalman, I think I answered you. I believe I answered you in a roundabout way. Red Panther Pie says they didn't expect Iran this type of attack, but they were prepared for an attack. Right. That's what we hear. Listen, I think Iran was caught lacking. Man, listen, you cannot. Iran has been dealing with the U.S. for 40 years, 40 plus years since the revolution. First of all, you're always supposed to be prepared. You see what they've done around the world. You see they would not let up. Remember, everybody thought everything was kosher in Syria. They thought it was halal in Syria. Because America seemed as though she had, spent her wad up in there. And what happened thereafter? Assad was gone. All right? So you can, even right now, with America going through all this, you can't put nothing past America. She still has a vaunted military now. Yeah, she's lacking in certain things, but man, she has some forces that will fight you to the death. And I think a lot of people, because they see her collapsing, they are afraid that she'll lash out in an unsound way. Well, she's doing that. She's doing that, but you got to meet her. Well, if we meet her, then she can lash out nuclear. Hell, she can lash out nuclear right now. What do you mean? What do you mean she could? Look what she's doing to the world. Huh? The reason of some people, I don't get it. A lot of people around the world are tired of the rot. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Fred Tan says, Karzal loves Rashid's company. Rashid is such a lovable man. Thank you so much. But that's my guy, though. Carl is my guy. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the, when my mother passed away, he was one of the first people to, me and my family convey our condolences and everything like that. Hey, when you get the time, let's do a show. Since I was her favorite guest you have on, let's do a show in honor of her. Boom. I got to give it to you now. That's my guy. Carl is, he's solid. I'm telling you this now. Can't hear it, bro. Can't hear what? No audio. What are they doing? No audio. Come on. Hey guys, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let's see. Hold on one second. Let's see. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. All right. Let's see. YouTube is messing with me. Can you hear me? Somebody put a yes or no in the chat. Real quick, put a yes or yeah. Okay, we got a lot of people in the chat and stuff like this, so I don't know which one is hearing me and which one won't, but and the chat is jumping. They're really after, man, these people are something else. But I want to let me Go, Hamza is in the building. Let me try to catch a few people that I didn't catch because the thing is jumping. Samuel Hale is in the building. Donald Lim is in the building. Come on. YouTube, you suck. Anna Jackson is in the building. Suzinko is in the building. Come on. My guy from at least a decade. Naeem 88 is in the building. And Mehdi is in the building. Thank you so much. Let's see. If I'm going to get to Kai, I think that is. Kai Alexandria is in the building. All right. Donald M says, no, Trump is deep state. People have to come to terms with this already, or he's the dumbest MF on earth. Either way, it isn't good. Absolutely. Absolutely. Boom. Mic drop moment. Flying Crocodile is in the building. Hey, Flying Crocodile. Hey, Mehdi, I'm still holding that for you. I'm still holding that for you. Hit me with a direct message on and hit Flying Crocodile with a direct message on Twitter. I'm still holding that for you. All right. I've been waiting to see you so that I can tell you. I've sent you messages, but you didn't respond. Now let's go to Hamza. Hamza says the Iranians have that Chinese radar that detects F-35s. Right. Listen, this is why I know there had to be some collusion here, because the Chinese radar is impervious to Western jamming. So for Iran not to pick up what was going on, there had to be a sleeper in the IRGC. All right. Did you see how quick that it picked up on Israeli and U.S. warplanes and True Promise 2 or True Promise 1 with the sneak attacks that they tried? And this was another sneak attack, and you're telling me that they could not pick it up? Nah, I'm not believing that. Let's see. Brooke Chen has a good one. He says, lots of people say Trump was lied to by the deep state, supposedly. Man, Trump is deep state. I've been telling you guys this for the longest. What people have to understand is this, and you can go to one of my interviews with Professor Kevin Barrett, and also another professor and former intelligence officer in the Marines, and co-founder of Scholars for 911 Truth, and that is Jim Fetzer. You cannot ascend to that position without the approval of the power behind the scene. So you don't get elected, you get selected. And I've been saying that for years. And even Gregory Manarino says it. These people are selected. And what they do, the different parties play on the different people to make people think that there's a split in there. All right? And they do have differences on minute things. But on the things that matter, they are always in agreement. So there's no choice. Let's see. Don't worry about it, Flying Crocodile. Damn, late to the dance again. Salute to Rashid in the chat. Yeah, Pedro. Kids are taught what to think, not how to think. And that's why I think it's very important for programs like myself to get the love from you guys, because what I'm trying to do is not force my views on you. I'm trying to make you think outside the box, trying to provoke thought. The problem with us is we're in this microwave era where we don't want to we don't want to do the work of cooking. We don't want to go out there and get our own food, right? We want everything right at the ready. And what it does, it makes us lazy and it dumbs us down. And then when they inundate us with propaganda, and then we become a couch potato where TV is our mainstay, we start letting go of traditions that held family together. So then we become sitting ducks for more propaganda. And the people in power, they think that they're doing the republic or the empire a favor by dumbing down the masses. In reality, they're laying a nuclear bomb at the base of the whole republic and the whole system, because you cannot continue this on infinitum if the people who are tomorrow's politicians, scholars, doctors, lawyers, astronauts, astronomers, and physicists are dumb as hell. You won't be able to compete, as we see on an international stage, with China, Russia, and the likes of the rise in Africa, rise in Asia, rise in Latin America, the Caribbeans, and all of that stuff. And we see that America and the West are taking a shellacking to all of that. And this is why they are hell-bent on war. Let me burn the world down while I'm still in a position of authority with my military, with my politics, and with my economics. And maybe if I burn the world to the ground, because I'm still powerful now, I'll be one of the main ones to refashion and remold it back into what benefited me from the jump. This is what's going on. That's why the politics is so connected to the economics. That's why the economics is directly connected to the geopolitics. It's a systemic thing, okay? Michael N says, that's true, Rashid. Some economists said they bought debt that others wouldn't buy. I'm telling you, the debt you're talking about, the debt, I'm telling you, man, America's in some trouble. I'm telling you this now. Jay said, shout out to Jay. I missed you in the thing. It says Trump was meant to accelerate the decline so the technocrats can remake the empire in their image. Well, the empire is in their image. What they're trying to do is prevent others from being able to remold or actually to remove the entire system and bring about something new. Because listen, what is going on now is the removal of an entire system. As I constantly tell you, when we're looking at this, we have to look at it from a point of a human point, not from a technocratic point. And we've got to be able to bring in science and history and mathematics to it so that we can get a thorough understanding of what's going on. As I told you on the last show, science dictates that there's no way two objects can occupy the same space at the same time. One must give way to the other. What America sees is a new world merging in, pushing out their world. So what they're trying to do is blast that world away so that they can refashion their world a little bit to make it more palatable, to try to keep it going for a little longer. That's what's going on. They don't want a new world order. They are the beneficiaries of this world order. They pass down wealth from parent to child. All of these corporations, they put their people in the position. If you don't think that's a form of corporate, what is it? I cannot even pronounce the word, but cortocracy or something like that. That's what Gerald Celente calls it. I believe that's what it is. Where they pass down the wealth and the influence generation to generation. That's what's going on. But the thing is, they're scared now because they see outside of their grasp is a reemergence. They thought they had done Russia in, but Russia is reemerging. They thought that they could destabilize Africa forever, but if you look across the African Sahel, all of these nations are reaching out for their own resources. And they say, let us eat dirt if we have to, but we're going to control these. As a matter of fact, 2 days ago, I forget which country it was. It may have been Chad. Said no resources goes out of Africa now raw. If they're going to get it, they're going to get it refined. Because what Europe was doing, what America was doing, was going in there and extracting the resources for pennies on the dollar. And in some cases, not even paying. And they were not paying taxes on, they would report that they excavated X amount. But then it came out that they realized that this is why those governments are overthrowing. I mean, those militaries are overthrowing the leaders that America and the West like. They come to find out after doing a forensic review of all of the findings, they found out that the Western corporations were minimizing their haul of resources by multiples of 5 and 10 times. So if they said they extracted X amount, 10 tons of gold, then they're really 30, 40, 50 tons of gold. And then on the 10 tons, they refused to pay the taxes that they owed the government. So they would only pay them because they understood that the leaders at the time were U.S. installed leaders, and they would take that little bit of money and be satisfied. They would give them 2% of the taxes, 3% of the taxes. So now those leaders are saying, hell no, our people are suffering. What's in the land and what's under it is ours. You don't come here and dictate the portion that you're going to pay us. France won't allow us to do it to them. America won't let us do it to them. So if we're talking about freedom, justice, and equality, and no racism, and an equal playing field, then we're going to apply the same laws that the West applies. If you come here, you're going to come here by our dictates. If you don't want to, then go that way. China will come in, Iran will come in, Russia will come in with some of their technology and help us. North Korea will come in. So this has caused the U.S. and the West to try to go full steam ahead on the MENA region to try to destabilize and cause war, because they believe that they're in a position to benefit the most by it. And at the same time, while causing war and destabilization, they can prevent Russia from growing its economy with Africa. They can then destabilize China's economy, because China depends on a lot of oil from Africa, a lot of gas from Africa, and a lot of the rare earth minerals from Africa, and also from the Middle East. So what they're trying to do is get a 2-for-1 to maintain global hegemony. All right? Everybody, look, smash that like button. It doesn't cost you a thing. It does not cost you a thing to smash the like button. Okay? Now, what just happened here? Oh, I just did something to my screen. Nobody did. I did it to my screen. I'm sorry, everybody, on my end. So they are mad that Latin America is saying, man, you know what? No more brutal dictators here. Let us, since you don't want us there, let us form our own alliances and use our resources to benefit us. They're mad that the Caribbean nations are following suit. They're mad that Africa is saying, listen, we are the only continent on planet Earth that hold a tremendous amount of every resource, period. It doesn't matter what the resource is, Africa has it in large amounts. They know this. They've done, I read the CIA did at least 10 studies in the last few years that Africa is the only continent that holds every rare earth, every resource, every mineral in abundance. And they're mad that Africa is saying, hey, no longer are you going to get us with this game. The scheme that Britain and the European Union, or Europe, I wouldn't say the European Union, I'll say Europe, put up one of the greatest schemes, and I've already said it before, but I'm going to say it again to those who are new to the channel, one of the greatest schemes that man has ever known. I'm going to print some paper with ink on it. I'm going to assign a denomination to it, and then I'm going to tell you what your resources are worth, and you're going to sell your raw resources to me for that paper there. And if you piss me off, I'm going to nullify the value that I assigned to that paper by sanctioning you. And I'm going to keep the resources and I'm going to refine them. And I'm going to nullify the profit that you made. Then you're going to come to me to buy your resources that we refined back. So you'll forever be in debt to us. And you'll never be able to get the technology from us. That's one of the greatest schemes that they've ever done. Man, that's cold-blooded. That's cold. Think about the depths of that. I'm going to assign to this paper a value. Then I'm going to assign to you what I'm willing to pay you of this paper for that resource. Now, I want you to do a little experiment. Print up you some money on your printer. Assign to it a denominational value of it. And go into Walmart and tell them, I'm not paying you $300 or $400 for that TV. I looked at it and I determined that the value is worth 20 of my drachmas or whatever you want to name your currency, and see how far that goes and how that works for you. They would laugh. Matter of fact, they would escort you out of the building. And then the police probably would get you for counterfeiting. But that's an international scheme that they've played on the entire world. Iran is no longer having it. And by the way, let me tell you another secret too. Oh, one of the reasons why the attacks of Iran was hurried up. Unbeknownst to most of you all, Iran opened up a new bourse. I believe it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. A new where there will be new currencies trading outside of the dollar and the euro. That happened. That is a no-no. Did you know that? Did all of you know that? Did you hear anybody on the other channels tell you that? Huh? Could this be why they sped up the attacks? Could this be why they tried to decapitate the leadership? Let me go to something real quick. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Everybody, give me a second. Here it is right here. Ha! Bim. Good. Iran's central bank launches forward market for Forex trade. Nobody talked about it. Why? And this happened on Wednesday. What day is this? What day did the U.S., the UK, NATO, and Israel attack Iran? It was yesterday, right? Right? Well, this was reported Wednesday, the day before the attack. The Central Bank of Iran has launched a Forex market for foreign currency trade amid efforts to encourage exporters to increase their supply of hard currency to importers, outside the use of US dollars, euros, and British pounds. Ironic? I think not. Huh? Talk back to me. Nobody talked about that part, that intricate part right there. I told you, I stay prepared so I don't have to get prepared. Let's go to something else. I'm trying to find this with Trump. He said something so out of pocket. That I could not believe that. Let's see. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see if that's the one. Hopefully this is the one. Let's see. I saw it and I was like, are you crazy? I think it was on RT. US. Let me see. US. Iran. Let me see if I can pull this up. All right. Trump, I gave him a chance. I guess we'll go to that one. Trump, maybe that's the one. I see US will defend Iran. Let's see. Let me go. Oh, yeah. Let's see. U.S. media to attack Iran. Reddit. Let's see. This may be the one. Trump. Notice how, and this is another thing I got to say this too. What's also very, very similar to what's taking place in Russia and Ukraine. Notice that the United States is always offering to talk, but it's always supplying the weapons, the intel, and everything else, and the boots on the ground. And every time a attack takes place, a terrorist attack takes place, or bombing takes place, the U.S. was not involved. You notice that? Let's go to this real quick. Maybe this is the article. U.S. will defend Israel, Trump. Washington was aware of West Jerusalem's preemptive strike on Iran beforehand, but was not involved militarily, the president has said. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Let's go a little further. The U.S. will defend itself and Israel. So it's natural, and everybody has the right to defend themselves. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. But what if you're the aggressor? Huh? Do you understand what he is saying? He is saying that if he breaks into your house and has his way with your family, and you come in with a gun to protect them and to get him off, he has the right to shoot you because you were going to shoot him in your house while he's raping your family and killing them. Just imagine if he said that to the police that arrived on the scene. Just imagine. They would think he would be insane, right? But he said it with no smile from the Oval Office. And the media is not even questioning him on this. All right, let's see. We're going to read a little bit more of this, but all right. Okay, good. Thank you. I see. Let's see. It says he made the remarks in a phone call with host Brett Baer on Friday morning, according to the network. The Israeli Defense Force earlier said it struck dozens of targets across Iran, including military installations and a nuclear enrichment facility in Natanz. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the operation aimed to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. No, what it aimed to do was eliminate some people that they were mad with, and also to escalate so that there would be a regional war. That's what it was meant for. Because Iran's nuclear installations, most of them are underground. And as you heard from yesterday, the British former intelligence guy, Alistair Crook, said for the U.S. to be able to destroy one of those facilities that are buried under the mountains, they would have to use upward of 400 nuclear bombs. It's on Dialogue Works, I believe it is. Shout out to Dialogue Works. He said they would have to use upward of 400 nuclear bombs. So if you didn't employ a nuclear bomb and you didn't destroy the mountain, which means you didn't destroy the facilities, then what you just said is a lie. You were not out to destroy that. What you were out to do was escalate tensions so that there would be a war, so that you think that you and NATO and America could then do what you want to Iran. That's what that's about. Man, we got to start thinking. All right. Let's see what it says on. Let me skip down for a minute. I'm trying to find some. It says Trump told Fox News that he has spoken with Netanyahu multiple times in recent days and knew of the planned strikes in advance, adding that there were no surprises. He stressed, however, that the U.S. was not involved militarily. All of this was U.S. military up and down. And expressed hope. Now listen to this part. If this is not spitting in the face of Iran, I don't know what is. This is the article I was referring to, because this is the part I was talking about. He stressed, however, that the U.S. was not militarily involved and expressed hope that Iran would return to negotiations. First of all, Iran never left the negotiations. That's a red herring. That's to make it seem as though Iran, the reason the attacks took place is because Iran was being belligerent and had pulled out of the talks. No, it was the U.S. under Trump's first administration that was the belligerent one that canceled the JCPOA. Then it was the U.S. under the second Trump administration that then demanded capitulation, not negotiation, because every time Iran went back and forth with the United States and say, okay, we can bend on this one, but over here we can't bend, so you're going to have to bend on. Nope. It must be what I say. You still hear him saying stuff like that. It must be what I say. I offered Iran a deal. No, you offered them capitulation. There's a big difference. A deal means that there was a negotiation that took place, that there was a give and take of something. Capitulation is when you force someone to give up all of their interests for the sake of threats against them in order to stop an attack by you on them. That's a big difference. So we've got to stop using those words, negotiations, and use the word what it really is to force capitulation. Okay? And it goes further and says, Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, and we are hoping to get back to the negotiating table. I would, right then and there, I would have told Trump where he could go and told the entirety of the West where they could go. See, this is not man politics here. This is sissy politics. He's trolling them at the same time he's trying to pretend like he wants negotiation. And Iran is entertaining this foolishness. Man, yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll negotiate. I got to get my get back. And here's the negotiation from this point on. I will limit my enrichment once I get what you got. Since you are belligerent, I'm going to get something. Why do you have nuclear weapons? It's for our national interest. Okay, I don't have the right to have them for my national interest? Huh? So if I have them and you have them, even swap ain't a swindle. If you don't want me to have them, get rid of yours. And it has to be a verifiable way of you getting rid of yours. Otherwise, you can't even talk to me on this issue. Because remember, you're the only nation to use it. And until you capitulate to that, go straight to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200, but go straight to hell with gasoline draws on. You know? William Gilchrist says, hey, wings on the same nut screwing us down. Let's see. Israel drone base. I heard about that. Was the same as the attack on what? Exactly. It was the exact same thing. Now, you don't think Russia took notice of that? See, this is what I'm saying. The empire is so smart till it's stupid. With that taking place, do you not think that Russia took notice of it? Just like when I called it out yesterday when it took place. You don't think that Russia and all of those intelligence agencies took note of that? And you don't think that there would be blowback from that? Okay, all right, okay. We'll return to these talks. And we'll return to this subject when America starts getting this comeuppance. Let's see, Flying Crocodile said Trump wasn't lied to. He confirmed that he knew exactly what was coming. Absolutely. Therefore, his peace talks scheduled for Sunday were a distraction to mislead Iran. Absolutely. First of all, he said, I gave them 60 days. And this is the 61st day. Well, if you are a party to the negotiations, you don't determine the span of time that it takes to negotiate. Both parties determine that is why it's called negotiations. If you determine it's no longer negotiations, it's dictations. Man, I'm built different. I'm from a different cloth. I'm telling you this. Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, says who? Show me where in the IEA writings or the UN where it says that the United States has the sole right to determine who can and cannot be a nuclear power. Show me where it says Iran must cap its nuclear enrichment to 0 or upwards of 3.5. Show me that. It doesn't give you a percentage. They could legally do it up to 99%. Go look at the stuff on the UN website. Go look at this stuff. All of this stuff is a red herring for war. That's what it is. WMD all over again. All right? And people still continue to fall for it. Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb. Who the hell are you to say who can and can't have one when you are the only one to use it? This is what I keep telling you about that God complex that America has, that America's leadership has. Rules for thee and not for me. I'm the world's policeman. I dictate what's going on. What did your Bible tell you? That Satan appeared as an angel of light, right? Right? And what did he say he wanted to do? He wanted to make him a kingdom like unto who? The Most High, right? Isn't that what it said? Well, what did God say according to your Bible now? See, I know the Bible now, and I know the Quran. What did it say? God made man in his image and in his likeness. All right? What is America trying to do? force the whole world to bow and be a replica of America. If you're not bowing to America and you don't accept what they have, then you are a tyrant, a dictator, a regime, a terrorist, an insurgent. You're a brutal dictator. They want to put the pressure on you to fashion and mold your government, your system, your way of life, and your culture after theirs. Satan trying to make unto himself a kingdom like unto the Most High. That's what is going on. Man, I'm telling you. Always talking about justice. Always talking about freedom. And they are the main obstacles to justice, freedom, equality, and peace. The very things that they claim that they want, they are the greatest impediment and roadblocks to. Mm-hmm. Also, and I'm not getting religious, but I want to remind those Christians here to watch. God also said he delight himself in making war against those who delight themselves in making war. America can't say that she doesn't delight in making war. She's been here for what, 248 years? I could be off a little bit. And she's been at war for 230 some years? Huh? Who is the war maker? The bloodshedder. And who in the hell gives her the prerogative to dictate to other cultures, other nations? Oh, man. I tell you what. It's going to be a long night. You better believe it. Donald M. says Brian Berlega was right. But I was saying that the reason Brian and I connected is because when he heard my show, he understood. He said, man, you've been saying the same things I've been saying. Yeah. So that's how we connected. And Flying Crocodile says, yes, Brian and Rashid were correct. Absolutely. Thank you for straightening out the record. I really appreciate that. Brian has a larger channel. I can't get that because YouTube, as you see on a daily basis, continue to block me. And other platforms do the same thing, but it's okay. It's not even about that. If one of you hear it and it can change your life or spark thought in you, then it was worth it. All right. Pedro says, as long as the sheep get their bread and circuses, they can't be bothered to look at the geopolitics. Absolutely. Donald says, yes, my bad. Credit where credit is due. I found Brian Berlega and they led me to Rashid. Both good men. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Brooke Chen says, especially China. Trump is no different than Biden, especially with his pick of neocons for his cabinet. I told you guys, listen, Iran is to jump off to China. Just like I told you guys, Syria would be to jump off to Iran. And just like I told you guys that when you look at those 7 nations in 5 years, right? I want you to look at that list of those 7 nations in 5 years. That former NATO commander, Supreme Commander Wesley Clark mentioned. And people say, well, the only one that's still standing is Iran. I've been told you that. But here's something else that you fail to realize. Those nations were also a lead up to war against Russia. All of the nations that the U.S. strategically picked out to make war with bought military hardware from Russia or was trade partners with Russia or both. So when they go in and dismantle the government, they put in a compliant government to the West. Then the West then puts corporations in there to help rebuild, so the corporations make money. Then they force the governments to buy U.S. weapons, which enriches the coffers of the military-industrial complex, and then the servicing contracts of those, so they're no longer dependent on Russia or Russia that is hitting the Russian military-industrial complex. Also, which led us up to Ukraine. Picking off strategic allies, moving them out of the way so you don't have to worry about them as you gallop closer and closer to Russia's border. Huh? Man, all of this is interconnected. Let's see. Brooke Chen said, will be very interesting to see how the rest of Trump's term play out, especially with his military foreign policies in comparison to the military foreign policies of other countries. War. There's going to be war. There's going to be a war in the MENA region, the Middle East and North African region. And I've been saying it for so long. Now everybody else is saying it, a regional conflagration. I've been saying that for the longest. I coined the term MENA, the MENA region. Other people use it now, but I coined that term about 30 years ago. Go my track record, 30, 40 years ago. I've been saying the MENA region for the longest. Now, what happens after the Iran thing? The China thing? Iran is not going to work out so well for the United States or Britain because they're going to be pushed out of that region. Period. Mark my word. Mark my words on this. When this thing goes regional, America will, and the UK will be forced out of that region. They're going to go to Asia, and China is going to beat the flip-flops off of them. Listen to me good. I'm saying this, and I know some people don't want to hear this, but I'm going to speak to you from the heart, and I'm going to speak to you the truth. And if I'm wrong on it, you can come back if it doesn't happen and say, hey, you misspoke on it. And I'll say, you know what? I was wrong. Because I'm a man. And one thing about growing up, you become more manly when you're willing to admit when you're wrong or you're false, okay? So they're going to march into Asia, and China is going to put something on America that Ajax and Comet can't get off, right? And from this point on, this will not just be a defeat for America. She is going to have to leave that region because her allies are going to turn against her. And she's going to make her last international stand in Europe. When I was saying this stuff 20 years ago, 30 years ago, people were looking at me like I was crazy. I said, there will be a nuclear war, but it won't be a global nuclear war. It will be a nuclear war on the continent of Europe. I've been saying that. Go check my track record. What's going to happen in Europe is going to devastate the European continent. If you don't believe the words that I've been saying over the decades, look at how they're positioning the bombers. Look at how they're deploying more weapons there. Look at how they're pushing up against Russia, right? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the scenario right now, so you'll say, I heard it here first with Rashid. When the war takes place in Europe, it's going to be, just like I've been saying for the longest, over those former Soviet territories. Because in those territories, people are going to get, the people who were just easy to go along with, they're going to be thinking about how America tricked them. So they're going to want Russia to intervene. And then the people who have been bought and paid for by the West are going to want the United States to intervene. And Russia is going to continue its grind. And these people in NATO are going to demand, and excuse me, I have to sneeze, hold on. Excuse me. And thank you. They're gonna demand America activate Article 5. And America is going to do that. She's not going to want to, but she's going to do it. And what's going to happen is Russia is going to dig far up in America's backside on the battlefield. And America is going to initiate a nuclear strike on Russia. And Russia is going to initiate a nuclear strike on NATO facilities, U.S. facilities all across Europe. And it's going to look like it's going to go global, but it's going to be a negotiated settlement where America is going to have to leave Europe to and come back to the United States because she's not going to have the political, military, or the financial capital to stay there. I'm not talking about 10 years from now. I was saying it 30 years ago, and I was giving you a timeline for these wars to start really taking place in 2025. Now, we're looking at them in motion now. So we're not looking at another 3 years. All of this is going to be rapid. I know I sound like I'm out there in the ether zone, but I've been sounding like that until it happened. And I see everybody saying, well, now America is crazy. She could push a first strike on Russia. I've been saying that. I've been saying it. And anybody who's been at my channel from the start or who's been here for a few years knows I've been saying it. So this is not something new, but you'll see pundits jump on this and they'll start saying it after they see it. I just can see a little farther down the wheel of time than they can right now. Listen, let's go here. Timothy Wareheim. It just didn't seem too long ago I was the only commentator and you thought I was a spy or something. I love your work, sir. Oh, I did. If I did, I apologize. I really apologize. Okay? I really apologize if I thought you were. And thank you for the compliment. Let's see. Brooke Chen says, seems like Trump is trying to reinvent the U.S. military, especially with projects like the F-47, Golden. All of that is just this right here. He has no. How is it going to get funded? Huh? America has to pay over $1 trillion right now on her debt. The more she spends, the more the interest payments rise. Because the more debt she accrues. It goes back to the scenario I gave you. It's the dope man crackhead scenario. The dope man who once looked all beautiful and shiny and had all the fancy clothes on and all of the expensive shoes on and had the biggest cars, one day tried his own dope. And you notice he stopped getting haircuts. You notice his lips started being white. Then they turned black. Then you notice the clothes had holes in them. Then you notice that he wasn't hanging in the same circles that he was hanging in. Then you notice that he was giving you the same talk that the crackhead would give you. And you notice his supplies were running low and he was behind on paying his dealers. You know what that is? He's smoking his own crack. You don't believe America is smoking his own crack? Then why did the Fed have to buy the U.S. debt? That's the crack right there. How in the hell can you grow wealth buying your own money? How can you grow an economy buying your own debt? Sooner or later, there's an implosion point. We're just about near that implosion point. Let's see, what time is it, please? Everybody listen, I want to thank you all for joining me on the most powerful platform for truth, bar none on God's green earth. This is your platform for education, elevation, and edification. This is the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your brother, your host, and your friend, Rashid, and I want to thank you for joining me. Listen to me. Please don't be lazy. Study, research, and don't even take what I say at face value. Challenge me on it also. And go and see if you can disprove what I'm saying. Okay? Because I don't want you to look at me and say, I'm going to challenge those people and not challenge him. Because what lies at the core of this is your security, your family's security. And information and education empowers you. I want to help empower you to protect you from the oncoming onslaught of propaganda and the collapse of the American empire and the Western world. The best way to ready yourself is to get yourself ready for God. The best way to ready yourself is to acquire as much knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you can get much information and much education as you can get so that no person can deceive you or exploit you. That's why we're here. And I also want to say in closing, to do right by others, not because there's some material gain or some accolades that are in store for you. Do right by others because it's the right, the humane, and the godly thing to do. Because even when no one else is watching you, remember that God Almighty is always watching you. He may sit high, but he often sits low. Those are words of wisdom from my mom. And I also want you to like, subscribe, and share. It doesn't cost you a thing. And tell others about the platform. Let us beat the algorithm. Know that I love each and every one of you who loves truth. But know that the love that I have for you will always pale in comparison to the love that God has for you. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true. But above all things, remember to stay righteous and stay informed. Hey, mama, your baby boy loves you to eternity and beyond. I love you more than life, mama. Thank you for every sacrifice you've made for me, and I miss you with every second of every day. We're out of here. Peace. Thank you all.
Told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake.